Well, Nikon officially announced the release of the Nikon Z F, a 24mm full-frame retro mirrorless camera. But it's not just a still camera for photographers. It also has a lot to offer content creators who want to capture video too. Today, I want to give you my opinion about this camera, what it has to offer, and whether it's worth buying. Before we jump in, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you'll never miss an update for my upcoming content. All right, let's get started. Alright, so I have the specs and general information about the camera right here on my phone. I want to go over that with all of you. I know there's been already a million videos posted, but this is just going to be my take. And then once I get it in my hands, I'm going to bring you my personal in-depth review of this camera. Alright, let's get to it. First thing is, let's go over the camera itself. So as you may know, it has a fully articulating screen, and if you watched my previous video about the leaked specs of the Z F, I was very excited about the articulating screen because this is the kind of camera I want to be able to do a lot of content creation with, and so I gotta have that flip screen if I'm going to be able to create my videos while I'm traveling and still be able to shoot some great photos. Next thing is it has a magnesium alloy body, which is phenomenal because we all know the ZFC, though it may look cool, as soon as you picked it up, it felt very plasticky, not professional. Next thing, it also has a circular eyepiece, which I've come to enjoy because of the Z8 and the Z9. So that's awesome. And I believe it has the same EVF2. So that's going to be great. It's weather sealed. Again, I want to be able to do street photography, more like everyday photography with a camera like this. So therefore, I need it to be able to withstand some unusual weather. And here in the Bay Area, it can be hot one area and then wet and foggy in another. It's dual card slot. And as reported with the leaked specs, yes, it is true. It's going to have one for SD card and then one for micro SD. So it is what it is. We just have to deal with it. But it's better than having just one card slot, because I bet there will be more people complaining about this camera having one card slot than having a secondary card slot for a micro SD. Next thing is small rig. Created a special grip for this so that in case you have a little bit larger hands, I don't particularly have the largest hands, but if you do, then you could buy an additional small rig grip that will attach to the bottom, give you an Arca Swiss, what is it, like Arca Swiss, connectivity to tripods on the bottom of it, but also you can still access the battery from the bottom of the grip, and it'll give you that additional grip, but it will give you no other functions outside of that. All right, now that's just the camera itself. Let's get to the meat and potatoes, which is the photography and the video. So let's get to photography. It has the XSpeed 7 sensor, which I believe is the same as the Z6 II. And with this, but it has the same processor engine as the Z9 and Z8. So that's going to be good. So it's going to basically be able to do a better job than the Z6 and Mark II. It also does up to 14 frames a second using mechanical shutter and 30 frames a second when using the electronic shutter. So that's going to be pretty nice. I don't see myself personally using it up to 30 frames. I don't even do that with the Z8 or Z9, but I do use up to 10 frames actually on those two cameras. So if I can get 10 frames a second, I'm generally pretty happy for the portraits that I take. But for you out there, you might need a little bit faster. It does have the pre-release capture. Remember, that was introduced to the pre-release capture, I believe was the Z9. So with that said, that's a feature they brought over to this camera. This allows you to record moments before you actually press the shutter release button for up to 30 frames a second, saving you shots that you may not have been able to get because maybe you pressed down a little too slow. So that's going to be cool to have this. It actually makes a lot of sense for this camera to have this function. It has the widest ISO range in all of Nikon's Z cameras, from ISO range from 100 to 64,000 for stills, and for video it has an ISO of 100 to 51,200. So it has 8 stops of 5-axis image stabilization, which is going to be great, which I really like. And with that said, this is the first. They're saying it's the world's first focus point stabilization. So instead of stabilizing like generally all of our cameras, generally the sensor is in the middle, it wants to stabilize. So it runs on the axis and pitches and rolls and everything else, generally in the center. But so it won't do as good of a job if your subject's more on the camera on the right or the left. But it's generally pitching and shifting and stabilizing for the center. Now with this camera, it's actually going to be shifting with the subject. So that's going to be very interesting. All depending on where you put that focus point is how the sensor is going to be manipulated and shifting in order to maintain stability. So that's going to be really, really cool. I can't wait to actually try this out. Okay, so the next thing is that it does have a dedicated black and white mode, which is going to be cool because this kind of retro camera, that I think is going to be one of the funnest features of this camera, is being able to do some street photography, landscape, or just, everyday kind of photography, and doing it in black and white is going to be something very fun to do. That's one of the things a lot of people like, that the Fuji X-T5, or the 3, the 4, and the 5 is that retro look, but also it produced great black and white images. So I can't wait to try that out as well. Now here, this is the first camera, as noted in my leaked spec video of the ZF, that has pixel shift. Now pixel shift is not new. Panasonic has had it for a very long time. With that said, Nikon finally has it in this camera, which will be able to produce a 94 megapixel image. So that's going to be great because, again, I could see myself doing street photography, landscape photography with this camera. Of course, I'm going to highly recommend you getting a good tripod when using this feature. It's going to be very hard for you to get a very sharp image handheld, as it's taking and stacking multiple images. So those are just some quick rundown of the photography specs. Let's go over the video. All right, so now here are the video specs. First, out of the box, it does 4K at 30p, oversampled from 6K. Now, you can get 4K 60 and 1080 at 120p, right, 120 frames a second, slow motion, but it's going to be cropped. All right, it's going to look like you shot it with a DX lens on there, but you can do 4K 60 and you can do 120p at HD. Now, it does internal 10-bit H.265 in standard, N-Log, and HLG, hyperlog gamma, in those picture profiles. Okay, so if you shoot in any of those, you can get internally 10-bit video. Now, for recording, it says that it can do over 2 hours of straight recording. I would like to test that out. I'd like to make sure that is actually true, because if so, that's pretty cool. With that said, 2 hours of recording is pretty impressive. None of my videos I do here are nearly that long, so for it to be able to do that, that's great. It has a few video assist functions, which I'm glad it has in here, which is pretty massive for this kind of a camera at this price. It has a zebra stripe display. Okay, it has waveform, which is awesome to get that exposure right. And then it also has the red record monitoring frame, which the Z9 and Z8 has, which I really enjoy. And I even use that in my Panasonic cameras because I may not be able to see the tally button. So therefore, if it's covered, that red frame is clutch, especially when it's articulating. I can see that I'm obviously recording. So those are some of the video features packed inside of this camera. And quite honestly, it's a lot of features for this price point. So the Nikon ZF is now available for pre-order. As many of you know, if you want it by itself, just the body, it's going to be $19.99. Now, it offers two different kits. Okay, one is with the Z 40mm f2.0, and that is going to be at the price of $22.39. Or you can get it with the 24-70 f4 lens. It doesn't have vibration reduction. For $25.99. Me personally, I'm going to look at the kit with the 40mm f2.8 because again, I want to have that retro fun feel to it, and that would be the only reason why I get it. And so I'm going to get it with that lens. I think it would be super fun and compact and actually a little bit safer to walk around with because it's a little bit more discreet of a camera. And for just what, $200 more, $239 more, you get the lens. So there you go. I'd rather just do that. Honestly, I think this camera can be very fun. If you're just a creator, like if you're just getting into photography, and you just want something fun camera to have fun with, but also shoot high quality video, this is going to be an excellent choice for you, I think, at only $19.99. Now, I say only $19.99 because if you're talking about having the same engine, processing engine as the Z8 and Z9, those cameras are 2 to 3 times more expensive than this camera. And you're going to get it in a compact size. It has all the features you're going to need as a creator, whether you're doing photos, video, or both. Articulating screen, a hot shoe, you're going to connect your mic to it, a monitor to it. It charges USB-C. You're going to be able to do everything you need to do. For those who may have a Z8 or a Z9 or both, like myself, am I going to hurry up and get this camera? I'm not 100% sure, but I definitely am it's very enticing for me. When I look at this camera, it looks very fun to use. So would I eventually get it? Yeah, I think I would. I think I would get this just to have a fun camera. But my Z8 and my Z9 cover all these bases except for the articulating screen. And that does hinder me when it comes to thinking about, oh, do I want to bring this camera with me when I travel? But this camera fulfills that need. So it's a fun looking camera. I'm not going to lie. Now, is it going to do anything different or better than the cameras I currently have? Absolutely not. But if I were to get it, it would be for pure fun, street photography, landscape photography, an everyday kind of a camera. This is why I would get it. And being the compact size that it is, it'll fit in literally any bag, sling bag, shoulder bag, backpack, whatever I'm bringing with me, it's going to fit in there. And so that's just my opinion. Again, I'm going to bring to you my full in-depth review of this camera once I get it in my hands. Okay, so right now, I heard that it's going to be available in mid or late October for that it'll start to ship. Most importantly is, what do you think about this camera? Is it something for you? Are you impressed? Are you not? Whatever. Let me know down below. Of course, if you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more, don't forget to press that like, that share, that subscribe, and yes, smash that bell icon to get notifications for my upcoming content. I'm Robert Silver, and until next time, keep shooting and stay creative.